governing intellect over that region. Well, then Israel became a nation again, May 14th, 1948, and if you extend a measuring line from the Temple Mount in Jerusalem to the exact center of ancient London, to the exact London stone underneath Cannon Street that marks its origin, a measuring line from the temple to the center of London produces 1948.40 nautical miles. So, over and over again in this book, time-distance anomalies, they go on and on in the temple at the center of time, including measurements from the Jerusalem temple site to the Great Pyramid in Giza, to the United States, to Russia, to Rome, to the Vatican City, other countries, and some of these include very intriguing mystical numbers like the number 33, the number 666, the number 2012. And after reading that book in its manuscript form, I was convinced that whatever these findings mean, and they are certain to be interpreted by different people in different ways, but whatever they mean, it appears at least to be mathematically improbable that all of that was just by chance. There's another part of that book, by the way, that's over my head and I can't even explain it, but it has to do with David using satellite mapping and history to diagram a pinpoint exactly where he believes that the lost Ark of the Covenant is located and where it will eventually be found or where it's being kept. And if you draw across lines on his measurements and you look at it from a satellite, there's a cave sitting out there in the middle of nowhere with an open mouth. So anyway, this was David, right? I mean, he saw things that nobody else had ever seen. He solved puzzles that nobody else had ever solved. And much of his research in Sidonia and much of his research in Temple at the Center of Time exists in other people's books with no attribution to him. But Steve Quayle and I have decided we're going to put his books in print in this collectible book, and then we're going to tell people, Steve, what we're going to do as far as making donations to his children and things like that.
Well, we basically, and with the help of David's wife, Brenda, and obviously Mark and the kids, and we're going to have a fund set up for the kids because it's only fitting that David had two children, David and Brenda have two children, and it's about time that with everyone ripping off his stuff, we just felt like it was the right thing to do in the Lord. So we're going to have this really cool thing, and it's going to be, I think, you know, we haven't named the foundation yet, but we'll, listen, neither Tom or I will have any control of the money. It will be distributed to the kids in real time. In other words, every quarter and stuff. But what we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, is present not only the man, not only the genius, but let you see this unique life. You know, what I don't think, Tom, one of the tragedies with all the critics out there, I don't think they ever understand what people go through, especially David, the last months of his life. By the way, he never lost his faith. He got down at times, and I remember the last time I was with him in his apartment, I spent all day with him, and he was showing me all the rocks and all of the artifacts that he had searched through the mountains of Montana, and all of the things. All I can say is this, is that imagine a child with a genius-level IQ and a way of seeing the world, almost in if you will, in the most celestial, mathematical complexities, yet it was so simple, and it was his childlike faith. And I wrote in my introduction, and since I did know him, spent time with him, shared, we would never talk for hours and hours without sharing the excitement of what Jesus was doing, what Jesus was showing us. And, you know, it was like lo. Every time and I'm using the biblical word lo, it was like we were coming, the volume of the book, it was written to talk about the Lord, to lift up the Lord. And I don't think people understand that the motivation for his genius was his love for Jesus. I mean, I talked to Mark on the phone, and Mark said, you know, even from the time he was a little kid, he was raised a Catholic, but he knew that there were issues there, and then he just went out to find the real Jesus, and praise God, the real Jesus found him. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a man, in essence, I believe, inserted into the space-time continuum. Because the last talk I had with him, Tom, I said, hey, David, let's take the distance. And I asked him if he could do this, and you could see the wheels spinning. I said, now, when I say we, David, that means you, because you're way over my head in mathematics. I said, but take the distance to the different planets and the known distance to the stars, and let's take the square roots of them. And we started throwing out some stuff. I said, let's four-dimensionally model this thing and see what comes up. Well, obviously, maybe that was one place we don't get to go at this time in space. But the point is that it was exciting, Tom. I got to tell you something. You know how you do a lot of work, you do a lot of research and stuff, but you know when there comes someone into your life that just refreshes it? That's how David was. He was a refreshing voice, a brilliant, brilliant friend, but also someone whose absolute love and adoration for Jesus Christ was, in my opinion, unparalleled. He really did walk the walk, talk the talk, and he really is everything we're making him out to be. No embellishment, but look, the Bible does say, give honor to whom honor is due, and the man needs to be honored, not ripped off, plagiarized. And I personally don't talk to some Christian authors because, look, when they rip off me or rip you off, Tom, and stuff, what they're doing is they're not understanding so many times the spirit. Oh, listen, research. We all draw on ancient writers' research and stuff, but when you paid the price for 40 years to come to the understanding, and then all of a sudden somebody goes and claims that as their own, I got to tell you, I understand. You turn the other cheek, but you just don't let it go unnoticed to the one who deserves credit. We're talking about David, so I'm excited to see the complete works, and I'm really excited. By the way, as the publisher of Cydonia, I can tell you this. I've personally seen those things sell on Amazon, and actually somebody sent me a screenshot of it. I think the highest one I ever saw was $1,100 or $1,200, and guess what? It sold. Even when I was a publisher, and I think I have 2 dozen or 3 dozen of the originals left, and they were spoken for. But, you know, the point is that you're going to get the best of two worlds. And I think the thing that sticks out about my mind, or above my mind in everything that he wrote in the center of, Temple at the Center of Time, was the distance between, obviously, Jerusalem and Mecca. You remember that one?
Mm-hmm, yes.
It was 666, wasn't it, statute miles?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're dealing with, I think, Tom, you were posting on Raiders News, is the Antichrist going to be a Muslim? Or is it going to be a Muslim? And here's the one. The last time you and I did the show, I got so much flack. I never shared the joy of it with you. But when somebody said Islam and Catholicism could never merge. Well, we're told in the Bible, for all those, how should we say this, emotionally challenged people, that they are going to merge because there's going to be a one-world religion, and the kings of the earth are going to give their power unto the beast. Such a simple thing, but yet it escapes everyone. And I don't think that as the days grow darker and the days grow more perilous, and given where the United States is now compared to most of where our grandparents and our parents, my parents, your parents, where all of our parents were at, I mean, this ain't the same old country. And I wrote, we're no longer in Kansas anymore. And unfortunately, the ruby red slippers don't click, and we don't get to go back to Kansas and get out of Oz. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will keep you informed. The minute it's available, within 2 weeks, the publisher, obviously Tom will have it on his website. You can order it from him. You can order it from me. The proceeds will be, and we'll define it up front. And what we're waiting for is our final cost. This is going to be a big book, Tom.
Yeah, it's going to be a big book, and but I'm hopeful that within a couple of weeks, I'm going to be on the road for a couple of weeks. I'm working on this documentary film on transhumanism, so we'll be on the road for a couple of weeks. If we get back, will be the launch of Petrus Romanus, and I can already tell that I'm going to be just swamped doing media. But thankfully, the Lord has blessed me in that I have a staff that work for me full-time. And so basically all I have to do is just, be the answer guy. They pick up the phone, they give it to me in yes and no's, and I sit and hold the phone and say yes, yes, no, yes, yes, no. So nothing that I'm doing with Petrus Romanus will hold up the project for the David Flynn collection. And actually, the cover designer already has. We were waiting to get the book that you sent me. I had to get a copy of it. They're going to scan a high-res copy of the front cover of Sidonia, because they're going to use, both books are going to be on the front cover of the new book, plus some other information, and hopefully a picture of David Flynn. But we'll figure all that out. As soon as I get the first draft, I'll send it to you. What do you think, Steve? What do we want to change? What do we want to tweak? But that shouldn't take us very long, and then Daniel Wright, the cover designer, he'll get that thing done quick. We'll get all the files over to the printer, and right now the printer is turning stuff around pretty fast. About 4 weeks from the time they get the files, we have books. So that's why I'm assuming that, probably, hopefully, sometime around June, we'll have this new book, and it's going to be a terrific collector's item for anybody that ever cared anything about David and who now want to celebrate this wonderful gift that God gave us in this man, and also be able to contribute something in support of his kids. They're going to have the opportunity to do it. So it's a wonderful idea. I couldn't be more excited about it. I'm glad to be working with you on it, Steve. And like you said, when we get ready to do the print run, you just say how many copies you want. I'll add some copies, and they'll go. And it'll also be in distribution, so people will be able to buy it through the stores if they want to. But the ones that they buy directly from me and directly from you, there will be a contribution that'll go into that memorial fund for the support of his kids. Now, another thing that David did to get back on the, you want to get back now on this?
Yeah, let's get back on that, because I'm going to ask you that. I want you to know, I'm going to ask you a question. Did you, at this point in time, your original thought and everything that Chris put together, have you guys changed your mind on who Petrus Romanus will be? Or do you think it's still hidden?
Well, I have my suspicions, and it'll be published in the book, but I'm telling you that since I'm not a member of the College of Cardinals, I'm not a part of the Roman Curia, I'm not hedging for any particular reason other than I'm not a part of that occult society, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And there are some very strange things that are going on that we've only been able to put part of our finger on. But here's the bottom line. People aren't going to have to wait very long. Benedict hinted that he might retire as soon as next month. Now, I don't think he's going to, by the way. I have reasons to believe it's going to happen later on this year. But the point is, it's most likely going to happen in the year 2012. And that's what the Rene Thibault, the mathematician we already talked about, the Jesuit code breaker, that's the year that he determined 61 years ago that the final conclave would occur in the year 2012. So we're going to find out if these Catholic mystics, if these various prophecies, everything from the prophecies of the end of the Mayan calendar, all the rest of it, we're going to find out. But there is something very, very strange going on with the year 2012 that includes a whole lot more than the rollover of the Mayan calendar. And it very much seems connected to the prophecy of the popes, to the arrival of Petrus Romanus, to the arrival of the Antichrist. People who didn't listen to that first show ought to get it and listen to it, because we pointed out how it's not just a 900-year-old Catholic prophecy. So imagine a prophecy that goes almost halfway back to the time of Christ. This long prophecy that foresaw all of these different popes, and the very next pope following Pope Benedict XVI is the final one on the list, Petrus Romanus, the false prophet. He helps give rise to the Antichrist. And you look at Pope Benedict right now, he seems like they're squeezing the last little bit out of him, if you will. They're sending him everywhere. He went to Cuba. He's going to go to other places, but he's being rolled around on a cart. He can't go up. He's got to be carried up stairways. He's getting feeble. The Vatican's own newspaper has stated just a few weeks ago that he seems to be worn out. Well, he's old, right? And some people handle age better than others. And the Vatican's own newspaper also said, as a result of that the College of Cardinals right now are preparing for the conclave that is going to elect his successor. And anybody listening to this show, and we'll have a lot of Roman Catholics listening to it, we might have people out of the Vatican listening to it, are aware that what I'm saying is it's really not news. I mean, it's being published everywhere, that those are facts. Now, Could Benedict continue to be the Pope on into 2013, 2014? Well, anything's possible, but it's not probable. And the prophecies, definitely, of occult sources have said that it's going to happen in the year 2012. It's not just